Join means lights on the camera. Yeah. There we go.
I'm fine with it, Michelle. I'm fine doing it.
What?
Or Nick's gonna do it. Okay.
I'm half deaf. You can't whisper.
Sorry.
Okay. Everything's it's being recorded, Michelle, so whenever you're ready.
He's doing it.
You doing it, Nick?
Yes.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, Nick.
Okay. If we're ready, I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so welcome to the joint meeting of the Withdrawal and Reorganization Committees. I'd like to start by reviewing the minutes from the last meeting.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Second, all in favor? Excellent. And moving on to old business for a withdrawal agreement update. I'm assuming we're going to ask Kristen to...
I have the letter.
Oh, okay, yep.
So we received a copy of the letter that was sent to Kristen. Do you want me to read it, Kristen?
That would be great.
Okay. Dear Ms. Collins, thank you for the notice of intent received June 26, 2026 on behalf of the town of Buckfield, the town of Hartford, and the town of Sumner, notifying the Maine Department of Education of their plans to establish a reorganization planning committee and move forward with work on a reorganization plan for the town of Buckfield, the town of Hartford, and the town of Sumner to create a new regional school unit. Members of my staff have reviewed the intended action as described in the notice of intent and have determined that it does comply with the requirements of the reorganization law. For your convenience, I'm attaching 2 documents that may assist with timeline planning for the reorganization plan approval and referendum. Additional information regarding reorganization may be found at the following website. And please submit the reorganization plan to the Maine DOE for review and subsequent approval at your earliest convenience. It's recommended that a draft be submitted prior to the final submission for approval. If my office can be of any assistance to you, please contact Charlotte Ellis. And it was docu-signed by Pendermaken. I did, in fact, contact Charlotte because the first timeline tool to determine the dates, it had the date of deadline for submission as 7/21. And then this reorganization referendum timeline had July 31. And the mistake was on her end, and the date is, in fact, 7/31. And I sent that out to everybody.
Perfect. Kristen, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
So that's on the reorganization plan side of things. On the withdrawal side of things, we are still waiting for the official approval signed by Pendermaken of the withdrawal agreement, which I would expect will come next week, unless it's in my overflowing inbox, which is also possible.
Gotcha.
So that's where we are. I think all the work, for all intents and purposes, on the completion and submission of the withdrawal is complete. Obviously, there's...
You're frozen up.
Oh, am I frozen?
We hear you again.
You're back.
Yeah, that might happen again. I've been having some trouble. I will drop and rejoin if that happens again. So transition planning obviously still has to happen. More work on budgeting, preparation for the hearings. On the subject of the hearing, it looks as though we are solidified on, oh boy, was it the 18th?
Yep.
Yep.
At BHS. And that will be noticed. And as long as nothing changes, I guess I don't know that the school board has to vote on that. It's sort of just an administrative thing that technically is scheduled by DOE, but at our preferred dates. So that will happen. I think, let's plan on having a meeting sometime, one of our next two, that's more focused on preparing for that hearing and what we're going to present. And maybe you want to designate a couple people to work on a PowerPoint presentation for that.
Yep. I've kind of started something. Are you suggesting we work on that right now?
No. I mean, I think it's a side project that will be gone over by the committee at some particular meeting between now and then.
We can talk amongst ourselves as who can work together on that.
Right.
Kristen,
may I ask a question?
Of course.
There seems to be a little bit of confusion about whether the reorganization committee is one unit or three coming together.
It is the same deal as the withdrawal committees. They're three separate committees that are coming together to meet jointly.
All right.
And can I just confirm that each of you now has been appointed by your select board as reorganization planning committee members?
Yes, Sumner has.
Yep,
No additions or deletions?
What's up?
No additions or deletions beyond who was on the withdrawal committee?
Correct. It's the same members.
Same ones.
Great.
Because we're the only ones willing to do the work.
Well, you're so good at it, so.
Yeah.
We're this deep, we might as well finish.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
All right.
All
So
right. To acknowledge what you had said, we are moving forward, recognizing ourselves as a joint meeting of the withdrawal and reorganization planning committees. Is that correct?
exactly right.
Okay.
All right. So as I said in my big email for the meeting that I couldn't attend, we really need to shift full steam into the reorganization plan. And I think really focus the next couple of meetings on that. And to that end, I don't know if any of you have done any independent work or, if we're kind of starting from scratch. One thing I had asked for was a copy of the old formation documents for your prior SAD to see if we could emulate some of that so we can, if what you want is to tell the voters that you're essentially going back to what you used to be, that would be a helpful document if it exists.
It does not exist. I asked Charlotte Ellis for it. And she said, we don't have anything that goes back that far. And
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. Budget materials, how far back are we going? How was it 2011-ish when this RSU was formed?
No.
2008.
2008. Okay. So at some point in materials, 2007 or prior, if they exist somewhere, we should at least be able to see how the additional local funds was broken down, or possibly how the voting was broken down, in terms of weighted votes.
I know
Possibly
that Kristen Chapman verified for Sumner that it was 3, but there was only 2 people usually on filling the seats, I guess, right?
Because one always dropped out.
only 3 school board members for the SAD?
No, just for Sumner.
Just for Sumner.
Oh, just for Sumner. Okay.
I know what you're saying about like going back there, but a lot of property valuations and student counts have changed so much that I was thinking about running, when it comes to the cost sharing, just running the different formulas of property valuation and student count and see what comes out fair.
I think that's the smartest approach, sort of financially for each of the towns. Politically, if your interest was in being able to say, look, we're not going to reinvent the wheel, we're going to do what worked before, certainly that's an option too.
It tastes a little better and probably feels a little better to people that have lived here for a while, I would think. If we can say it that way, I get that.
Well, we had a 10-member board
Back then.
back then. So in order for the numbers to come out correctly, as far as the weighted vote, you can only be 5% off. Maybe I'm going too far right now. 5% off the total of 1,000. So 6 works and 9 works. And broken down by the populations, it's 4 for Buckfield, 3 for Hartford, and 2 for Sumner.
Right. I think that sounds more reasonable.
I do too.
At 6, you can do it with 6, but I think that's just too much of a workload for 6 people.
What was your breakdown again?
4 for Buckfield, 3 for Hartford, and 2 for Sumner.
Because the other thing too is, as far as that formula is concerned, obviously, I mean, student count does matter, but in the end, it comes down to property value for each town.
Well, the thing of it is like, you don't want to be a town, like, say you had a town like Byron or Hanover, who had huge property valuations, and they were spending an enormous amount of money for kids, for their few kids. So that, in fairness, we should we don't have anybody, we're not way off in that situation. So maybe a 50-50 would work, but I think we should just run the numbers.
Right, see what happens.
And see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We can run them both ways, right?
You can do 75-25 and 75-25
50-50.
in the reverse, 50-50.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do 60-40,
Your
I
combinations
mean,
are
whatever you want.
endless within
Right.
that 100%.
Right.
So. But I think when we started with 10, it was 50-50 in this reorganization plan when we joined RSU 10. The 75-25, I think, changed after Dixfield left.
Okay.
So I assume that we are choosing a weighted vote method as the most obvious way to apportion, rather than
Yes.
trying to do districts or anything fancy beyond that. And it sounds like the math might work on weighting.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And then I would assume we have to have, transition terms. So Buckfield, for instance, would probably be one 1-year term, 1 4-year term, and 1 3-year term, and 2 2-year terms. And then, we'll break it up amongst Hartford in the same way, 1 1, 1 2, 1 3. And then Sumner, that's a little bit less egalitarian, but maybe we do 1 3 and 1 1.
Could we do 1 2 and 1 1?
Sure. I just don't want a suggestion that Sumner isn't getting the length of a term that the other two each get 1 3-year.
Okay. I understand.
Well, I mean, if each town is responsible for voting their own school board members in, even if Sumner has someone in there for just 2 years, if that person's doing a good job, then that town would just re-vote that person back in. I mean,
So
Yeah, I don't know. I'd go with 1 and 3. That's because we have to set up a rotating situation,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. I guess we're talking about the transition now, so next item on the, anything else that we should be focusing on for action items right now that you can think of, Kristen?
Well, no, I'm sort of just jumping in, if you don't mind, to the reorganization plan. and the things that are easily settled and the things that need some more work, if that
Yep.
is okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm mindful too that Connie has to go at 8. So let's just take a run through the reorganization plan and again, see what we can agree on, what needs work. And then I think turn it to Connie to talk about, transition planning and information that needs to be developed and all of that stuff while she's here. So apportionment seems like it's somewhat obvious. Real property is all going to be titled to the RSU, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Anything that's received from RSU 10.
And if we do the work for the title, then we won't have to pay them to do it.
Right.
Okay.
Now, on the debt that we're assuming, obviously the least likely to cause any sort of debate would be that the RSU takes on all of that debt without trying to allocate it to individual towns. I assume you're all okay with, any debt that we take as the RSU's debt, and none of the individual towns are going to cry, hey, that debt was attached to Hartford Sumner, so it shouldn't be Buckfield's debt or anything like that, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
I have a question about that.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to the last RSU 10 school board thing, and they were voting on that, the withdrawal agreement, Leah said to me that she was pretty certain that all the debt that RSU 56 had to pay, they just paid RSU 10 instead of trying to break it out. Instead of redoing all the paperwork through the companies that we have those, what are those called? IEIs or whatever they're called. Oh,
Yeah. Yes. No, that's true. And that's probably how almost all of the debt is going to be handled, unless it's something like a lease that can be assigned. Like a bus lease might be assignable without an issue. But yeah, for the most part, you would be expecting to get bills from RSU 10 on the debt service, and the new RSU would pay them and then would apportion that debt in, according to your cost sharing formula. School personnel and contracts, I mean, that's basically teachers and staff are going to stay with the school to which they were assigned and under the attachments to the withdrawal agreement. It doesn't handcuff the board from making, assignments like it might make in the course of a normal year between school year, before the first school year. But the presumption is going to be that staff stays where they were allocated. So cost sharing, of course, is the significant one. And I don't know if anybody has put any thought or time into that.
Well, that's what we were just talking about, I thought.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about apportionment of votes, but then there's, how is additional local funds broken down?
Does anyone have the student count average for the last 3 years so we can run those numbers for each town?
Somewhere. We can move on until I find it. We don't,
Yeah.
So, anything under the sun is possible there. You could do it entirely based on percentage of students. You could do it entirely based on percentage of valuation. You could do 50% valuation, 50% student count. You could do 75-25 in either direction. Whatever is deemed to be fair and reasonable. So this is always the hard one, as there aren't just a few fixed options.
Right, we were talking about Michelle mentioned running the numbers, 75-25, 50-50, and 25-75, just to see what the numbers look like.
I agree. That's a good starting point.
All right, so based upon when they sent out the last ED 279 as a approximation, which was this January, February from DOE, they have looks like total of 507, and they have it broken down. Let's look else. It's like they didn't even do a real good proper.
Where did I
ED 279, but that doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't have them. Right here, 2-year October, 229.
For Buckfield?
Hartford 146, and Sumner 119
Okay.
and a half. Buckfield 229 and a half. I'm using the 2-year October average subsidizable pupils
Right.
on that ED. That's the RSU 10. It's not the one that we got from the state. So
It'll be close enough.
and then we use their property valuations on that same ED 279, and we can just go to town.
Right.
I also have do you want us to keep going? What are we doing?
Yeah, we'll keep talking about this if there's anything more to talk about right now on apportionment of costs.
I had a question about the transition budget that maybe you can answer. So we have to ask for money for the January to June period. It's not, from what I read, it comes out of the municipalities, like, what do you call that? Undesignated fund balance. And then when we vote for our budget in July, they're immediately paid back. It's not like we're raising and appropriating.
You are
money.
raising it. No, you're not raising and appropriating. You are appropriating, and it could
We are borrowing from
way without being replenished,
Yeah.
or the municipalities could raise through taxation to essentially, it doesn't have to flow back through the RSU, but you could raise through taxation to replenish the undesignated fund to cover retroactively that cost. And I think we were thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of 160, 175. Is that right?
That's what I thought. And then I was doing some more homework, and we kind of have to have like a business manager besides the superintendent, and then the physical stuff and the licensing. We kind of have to have our business manager and office personnel in before, I'm thinking, before July 1st. So we need them like say May and June.
Yep.
So we may have to consider a salary for that little portion of time.
So as we figure our budget, we can include summer instead of paying when the funds come. We can, you said that RSU 10 waits until the funds come to pay for summer. When we could include it in our budget and make sure that summer is covered.
Yeah, we
do that.
could. We could. We could do it the way we're supposed to do it.
Yes.
Accounting wise, I don't know how that's going to affect the budget overall.
So our budget, our fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th, right?
Yes.
Okay.
When does the summer stuff start? After June 30th, or does it start right after school ends halfway through June?
You know, I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, it's the same thing, but I don't know why it ever got that way, except for somebody needed to have a budget way back when that needed to be reduced, and they said, we'll just pay for summer salaries on next year's budget.
Right.
And then it just continued on.
Right. Probably because at some point they had a carryover, and so they borrowed from the carryover to pay that stuff until the new money came. I would assume.
Well, that's what she's saying. What I know is when they were cash, I don't even know if when they were starving for cash at the beginning of before the budget passed and whatnot, they would have a loan at a bank, you know, like short term. So they have the cash flow and pay it right back once the budget was passed and the money started flowing in.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't even know if that's going to affect us. I was confused when we were talking about summer salaries at that last meeting, because they have not fixed it. They still pay it. And she was like, and the lawyer had said something like, no, they're going to take the money out of the, I'll call it the undesignated fund balance because I can't think of the name right now, and then give us whatever's remaining after they pay our summer salaries. And that whole thing just confused me, because she said we never use the undesignated fund for covering salaries. It's in the budget. So I don't know where that goes when we break off.
Well, I almost think that the person who mentioned about taking from that fund to pay the summer salaries was their lawyer.
Right.
He was the one that actually said that, so I
Yeah.
don't know if that is just what they're doing or if that's a policy for the
Right.
state, or I don't know.
And in my opinion, if they were budgeted right, those salaries would have been paid in the last year of us being together in that year. So why, when we leave, are we responsible for that out of our carryover?
But wasn't he saying that the summer salary was going to be for the upcoming summer, not the prior summer?
Yeah, but that's not how you budget. When you go July 1st, you're supposed to go to June.
Right.
But that school year, that money is not earned in July and August. It's just separated in paychecks.
I guess we just needed to figure out which fiscal year they were talking about that money should apply to.
What do you?
Behind or the
It's
future.
gonna apply to when we break off the next
Future.
year,
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
because
for.
that's how they do their accounting.
Right. And then the other question too is, what do they classify as summer salaries? Are we, I mean, is it just the people that you hire for the summer for like summer school and things like
No,
that?
it's because the teachers opt to have their paychecks broken down into 26 payments a year, instead of just through September to June, that however many weeks that is. So they have a regular paycheck throughout the whole year.
But we wouldn't have to, the way I'm thinking about this, we wouldn't have to budget that. And I say this because let's just take one position. Let's say you pay that person $100,000. You divide it by 26, right? So wouldn't that be RSU 10's responsibility to keep paying
That's
until?
what I'm trying to say,
Right.
but then Dick Spencer said those summer salaries that they should be paying for is going to come out of the undesignated fund balance, and whatever's left will go to us.
Because there's no way that you can pay all the staff what little is going to come out of that fund balance. I don't think there'd be enough there to pay all of them.
What? You're talking about a couple of $1 million in a small section of their staff in Buckfield, Hartford, and Sumner. I think those couple of months of salaries would, yes, definitely. I'm just confused about the whole aspect of the summer salaries and how it's going to affect us, because in my mind, we shouldn't have to worry about that. It should not come out of the undesignated fund balance that we're going to receive in our section, because it should have been paid in that year that we leave. But because they do their math the opposite way, we're going to end up paying for it.
And I could also be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure with this new budget of theirs, there is no $1.5 million in that fund. I think they use a lot of that to cut down the budget. So I'm pretty sure there's only a couple $100,000 in there.
If you look back in the history, they always have and they break it into 2 years. They usually have about $1 million and then $500,000 from the previous year that they apply to the budget.
Because I'm pretty sure it's a lot smaller now. And I think they purposely did that maybe to offset us.
I'm just concerned about the summer salary aspect of it.
Kristen, can you clear that mud up a little bit?
A little bit. So the reason for it is that the summer salaries are funded forward. And so they're payable in July, in June and July, and yet are for the last year's salary. And so the way they have budgeted it is that those funds are raised in the next year and then used for paying the salary. So since these withdrawing towns won't be included in the 27-28 budget, your way of contributing for, those last couple of months of the prior year's salaries is to pay them. And the withdrawal agreement says that you pay them by July 15th. And practically speaking, I think that means since you won't have a pile of money, it might make sense to have that money taken out of what's owed to you by RSU 10 as of July 1st. So I think that's what Dick Spencer was saying, simply that might be a way to account for it. But the withdrawal agreement simply has you paying 31% of those costs by July 15th.
That were accrued in the previous year when we're still together.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which basically is not appropriate, but we'll have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. At least from here on out, our budget will be hopefully set that we pay them in the year that we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be tempting to continue the same tax, so you're not paying for 2 summers in the first year and keeping the overall costs down. But it would be great if you can explain it to people enough that, yeah, this might be overall a little bit more expensive in year 1, but we're going to do it right.
Or not.
Because I understand what you're saying, Michelle, and it kind of brings that ethical question in, is if they're trying to pay all of BHS summer salaries from that fund, that's going to purposely make that fund smaller before they give us our 31%. Mm-hmm. And in all reality,
they're only doing that with our portion. From what I understand from what Dick said, was basically they're not catching up on their summer salaries with their thing, with the unfunded, whatever, undesignated fund balance. Our portion that is going to be reduced for what we owe them for the summer salaries.
Right, I understand that, but there's no reason why they should be taking it out of that fund, because it should have already been budgeted in their bigger live stream of money for all that summer stuff that is not just for summer. like paying the teachers
That's
that
what
extra
I'm
week.
saying,
Right.
but this is how it works out because they kick it into the following year.
Right, because we're not gonna be a part of the next fiscal year budget, so therefore we're not gonna be paying into that part of the salary.
Right.
Because they're what, 8 months behind or whatever.
Yeah, it still seems like that they're skimming off the top, honestly. Maybe that's how
I think
it's
the
been
plan,
done.
yeah, they're not intending to pay all of the summer salaries out of the undesignated fund and then give you what's, your share of what's left.
No, just
At least I hope not. I think what Dick Spencer was alluding to is they'll calculate what is owed to the withdrawing towns from the undesignated fund. And then assuming we don't want to just pay directly for it, it would make sense that they would take what we owe, our 31% towards summer salaries, off the top of the share they've already allocated to us. And then you get the rest, which is a little bit different math, presumably.
So you're saying that if we didn't withdraw, they would normally take all that summer salary off that undesignated fund anyway?
No, they don't.
No,
Budget it the following year.
In the next year.
exactly.
So if they're
That's why
right,
they're
we
making
would,
That's why they're making you pay for it, because you're not around in the next budget year to cover your share of it as you normally would.
Right.
I just think that in the future, that anything that is budgeted and brought to the taxpayers for approval shouldn't be taken out of any undesignated fund that we have ourselves. It should be budgeted for that staff, straight and forward, plain and simple.
Yes.
The undesignated funds, in my opinion, should be emergency funds.
Right.
If something drastically happens
Right.
and we need to, drop $500,000 because we had, 3 buses that died or whatever.
Right.
I mean,
I agree.
because that's the only way that you can be truly transparent.
right, that makes complete sense.
I agree with you.
I wonder what the real explanation is for why the heck they would do that.
For what?
Just to do it the way they're doing it doesn't make sense.
Oh, with the huge undesignated, whatever they call that, carryover.
Yeah, carryover.
Always been like that. Usually it's positions that are budgeted for, things that you budget for that don't get used, that dumps into there and it accumulates quite a bit of money.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
What's next, Kristen?
Let me keep looking through this reorganization plan, but I think we've covered the hard stuff. Yeah, I think we're good. So you all will do a little bit more work running numbers on apportionment of additional local funds and how the various combinations might work out for the towns. We'll compare notes on that next meeting and hopefully come to some conclusion. The next meeting, I will plan to have a draft reorganization plan circulated with maybe some placeholders for this information once we make some decisions. But I think this is not going to take that long to solidify. I mean, we could have it by the next meeting, which would be great. Submitted a draft to the RSU, or maybe even a final approved version to the RSU. I mean, sorry, not to the RSU, to DOE. And well on our way then to just focusing on the providing information to the voters and holding these meetings.
So for the record, we don't have to do anything else that technically takes RSU 10's approval or, for this reorganization plan? Does this go to
That's
them?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
This document does not pass by RSU 10 for approval. Doesn't stop them from criticizing or pointing out any issues they see in it during the public hearings. But I think we will all expect, given how we, had to deal with the budget issue at the end of the withdrawal negotiation process, that there will be a lot of, crosstalk about the budget.
Can you kind of highlight what that August 18th sort of looks like, just in case, I don't know, help paint a picture?
Yeah, I think it is relatively freeform. I consider it to be your meeting. And I would consider the RSU to speak sort of as any member of the public. If, the superintendent were there and wanted to comment, I would ask and expect that the format of the meeting is that the withdrawal committees present the withdrawal agreement, the highlights, how it's going to work, then present the budget analysis and whatever perspective you want to offer on that. And then I think there would be public questions and comments. And like I said, we can't prevent the RSU from making comments, and we just need to be prepared to respond, particularly on the budget.
And am I correct that each town has to have a public forum before this?
Yeah, each town will have a public forum. I don't think it has to be before this. Let me look at my timeline.
I thought we were gonna do the town ones.
I thought they were like September, October, but I
Okay.
don't know.
So it's
Yeah.
before the November election. Yep, okay.
But we do have to have independent ones in each town.
Yes.
Well, I think it's, in theory, you could do them all together at a central location, but I think it's a good idea to do them individually as well. And
Right.
when we did this with Dirigo, I think that the withdrawal committees just basically went on a little tour. Everybody was there, but the withdrawal committee for that town essentially put on the presentation in their own town and did the bulk of the talking, so that, if people have concerns as townspeople, they feel more comfortable if it's their own withdrawal committee putting on the meeting.
One question I have for you is, if we're gonna do this in August a couple questions. We're gonna do this in August, on August 18th, and it's going to be in our region, and it's to be assumed that RSU 10 is going to be there.
I think we should assume, but it's not guaranteed.
Okay. And so we're going to have that night. Would you think if we did that same exact offering again in September as a tri-town group, and then we did it again independently in each of our 3 towns in October? So just to reiterate, we do a joint one in August, a joint one in September, and then individuals in October. Do you think that's too watered down?
I think that's great. You are providing as many opportunities as possible for people to show up.
Okay.
But it has to be early October because of the timeline
Oh,
for
that's
the
a good point.
election.
Right.
So it might be early September and late September,
Sure.
because there's a timeline for the election.
I feel like you might have a different type of turnout in August, and you might have a better turnout
Yes.
once people are back in
Yes.
school mode.
I agree.
So that's why I was curious about doing a second joint meeting,
Right.
the second week of September?
Mhm.
Something like that?
I think I might flip it. So do this joint one in August, do your individual town ones in September, and then early October, do one more joint one. And that might coalesce all the questions and criticism that you got from your individual towns and try to address those.
Okay, I like that. And is there anything to say that a representative from Hartford would not be able to speak as a representative at the Sumner one if somebody asked a question or vice versa? You know what I mean?
Absolutely, that would be fine.
It'd be fine. Okay.
Yep.
So if we did, we wouldn't run into any time frame issues either.
Right.
Because now we've had our individual public forums. Now we could have a meeting every week up until election. We've already covered our individual. At that
Right.
point, we're just
I'd like
having
to think,
informational meetings.
like to think that we can promote this as push the heck out of it, so people really come out and
Yeah.
gain steam, gain understanding, perhaps some enthusiasm about what this could look like in a positive way.
Yep. I was thinking before we did that somehow, and I don't know how to do this, to take a poll of the teachers and say to them, what do you want to change? What would you like to see changed?
In a hypothetical situation.
Yeah, hypothetical.
Yeah. like 3 things that you would
Yeah,
like, that
top
would
3
improve
things.
your experience as a,
Right.
right,
Or environment, or
Right.
whatever.
improve the educational environment for the students.
Yeah.
Right. Yep, that's a good one. I do like that.
We should probably get to Connie before 8 o'clock, so she
Yeah,
can-
do you,
I'm good. Pass it on.
what's up? You're good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right, good. Connie, you have the floor.
Oh my goodness, it's nice to see you all. So I
Same.
think part of my role is to talk about what lies ahead in terms of transition team. Is that sort of what's on your agenda as well?
Sure.
And one of the things came up earlier, and that was the cost for the transition team and transition committee. And something for you to think about. I did talk to the gentleman who facilitated Richmond's transition. Richmond is a community that's very, very similar to yours. And what they did was their referendum passed in, I'm trying to think, it was November, December. And then in December, January, they couldn't call the person a superintendent because they already had a superintendent. And as I understand what your organization is, Matt Gilbert will be the superintendent of record until June of 27. And so between November of 26 and June of 27, you need to have a contracted service to help facilitate your transition. And that this person begins hiring, I think Michelle brought up the business manager. That was one of the first positions that in Richmond that they hired, and they also hired an administrative assistant. And so that team then started putting things in place, like your SIS system, your student information system, so that it's operational and all of your records. I'm assuming most of the student records are already in Buckfield, Sumner, Hartford. Is that a correct assumption?
I wouldn't assume anything.
Okay. Okay. So there may be some things that need to get tracked down. But beginning to talk about the organization, making sure that you have insurance. You can't start your new district without it, without SBLL, which is School Board Legal Liability Insurance. You've got to have that. And I'm going to tap the brakes because at one point there was a subgroup tasked with looking at a space for a central office. Where is that right now? Where's that work at?
So we visited a few places, and looked at them, and looked at the feasibility of it. So right now, we just would need to figure out if the committee wants a report or whatnot, as far as possible locations and the pros and cons to each location.
Can you
Okay.
just,
I sure can.
I don't
if
think you need to
Okay.
write a report.
So we stopped off at the old Oxford Networks building that Neil King owns, and very large space. He's willing to break it down roughly in half, or maybe just under half. And even that would be plenty of space.
Half's like 4,500 square feet.
Yeah, it's still huge.
Wow.
And and that half already has wheelchair access. There's a wheelchair bathroom. I mean, there are a few things that would have to be updated to bring it up to probably a certain code, but it'd be very minor. Any changes would be on the school to pay for. And he didn't give a price, but it is a possibility. Then we went down the road to the building that was given to the town of Buckfield. If the town allowed it, that's another possibility. It's just basically a very small house, but a lot of renovation would have to be done, and I think it'd be kind of spendy to do that right off the get-go. It's not really a great spot in and out, whereas the Oxford Networks building, the old Oxford Networks building, has plenty of parking out back. I mean, it's just safe. I mean, it's.
You mentioned potential too with that, right? Like.
Right, you could even rent and lease the other side of it and expand to house other facilities and programs if we needed to. Obviously, we'd have to be brought up to state code, but that's a very good potential for that. We also discussed about having a modular on the Buckfield High School grounds as a location. You know, one of the pros is we wouldn't have to lease it. Sure, there'd be some renovations, but no matter where we go, there's always going to be some type of renovations that we would have to do. And so that there was that option, and then we also still have the option for upstairs to lease that out from the town, a little bit smaller area, but it is still feasible. There's a spot in Sumner. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Jesse.
Yeah, there's a lot across from the elementary school that could be utilized. The town of Sumner owns it, but I think it would be like the house down the road here. It would be very spendy.
Yeah.
You know, I think 100K is probably, you know, what it would take to get even if you took a modular and set it up over there, I think you could you'd be 75 grand before you were up and running.
Right.
Whereas if you just left the modular in place and did some work there, we'd probably be in better shape financially, I would think.
I mean,
At least for the short term. I mean, who knows
Right.
what's going to happen in 5 years, but.
Can we circle back to the topic about the third modular? I believe that it was last spoken that the third modular was in the process of being set up and
Yes.
would be set up sometime this fall.
yes.
Because I was just going to comment on when I drove over to the modular area at the Buckfield High School. I mean, they've got a road that goes right around the building, and there's got a road right over to those, and they've got pavement walkways that go to each modular. So to get the third one set up and paving over to it, I mean, like you just said, one of you just said, it's already covered.
Right.
And that could be a 2-year plan that costs us nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because by doing that, I think it would be the least amount of money, not just up front, but for that 1, 2, 3 year, however the plan would be set up. And it would be one giant burden off of our minds or off the new school board's minds, and they can concentrate more on other things for that.
Somebody made a good point. I had been sort of exploring on the side the cost of getting power and septic for those 1, 2, or 3 modulars, and just for the supposed admin one, if that was to happen. And then somebody made a good argument that, well, the kids go inside now and use the restroom, so what's the difference?
Right.
What's the difference in being in a classroom at the farthest point of the wing
And the teacher.
and having to go use the restroom that's in the central part of the building? So,
and also that side is actually the closest bathroom, I believe, is the staff bathroom. That side, anyway.
so the kids probably have to walk farther to find the
Yes.
restroom than the staff would.
Yeah, they do.
Can't feel terrible about that then.
Right.
And you could always repurpose those restrooms into productive closets or something. I don't know. I haven't been into the classroom ones. I only climbed into that other one. So
let me, Nick, ask a little bit more about the modulars. What's the square footage of those?
Like,
They're
double
28 by
wides.
60.
yeah, 28 by 60.
So that's roughly
24.
1,600 square feet.
that's pretty damn good.
That's huge.
And there are 1 or 2 of them.
There's 3.
3.
One's being used as a music room, one's being used as a classroom, and one's not even set up for anything right now.
So we potentially have one that's not even being used for anything that should be set up this year by RSU 10, and then once it's set up,
And
there
just
really isn't much more.
for the sake of convenience, that happens to be the one that's closest to the parking area.
Right.
So you could have that sort of laid out in a way that the admin team going into that building we could develop the land probably at a minimal cost in case the parking area had to be a little bit better.
Right.
So
Let me ask a couple other questions about those. Do they have interior walls now or partitions, or are they just one big empty space?
There's 2 rooms, right? Isn't that how they work?
right.
2 rooms.
Yeah, there's one that goes there's a wall that goes right down the center, and it's almost like a plus, I guess, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So that'd be four rooms.
Yeah, so basically when it's all set up and built out, I believe it'd be 4 rooms.
Right.
I don't know about the 2 that are set up, but the one that's in process of being set up would definitely be
Right.
like that.
Okay. And they're both, or one of them are, both are handicapped accessible? They got ramps and, or could have ramps?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if, what I'm thinking is you may need both of them unless there's a conference space inside the high school that is available.
Use the kitchen and the library for negotiations
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
for large meetings.
Yeah.
Plus the auditorium.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You have the auditorium and everything.
Oh, you need,
So
with negotiations, you need to have a room where you have to shut the door and no one can hear you.
Yeah.
Sure,
So-
but even if, I mean, you
So
can,
the whole
you can
back
use a
room-
stage.
Yep.
There's
The
so
whole
many
back room, yeah.
spaces
Yeah.
that may not be in use
Yeah.
that could be utilized
Yeah,
Right.
easily.
with a
Yeah.
little bit of.
Neil, what's the access for technology out there?
So to my knowledge, I believe that they buried power and they buried basically a network cable to each of the work and modulars, so they have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
I don't think they did the best job setting any of them.
No.
Because the skirting, the skirting is a little messed up. So if in time, if we wanted to develop that, I think it would be a good idea to fix that. So.
Right, but I mean, when you have a bunch of kids going on throwing each other at the skirt, and I mean that's going to happen. So you would reinforce it.
Fair argument.
Like if someone, because typically if a modular is set up for residential living, most places don't just leave it as skirt. They build a 2x4, 2x6 wall, they insulate it, they add in the skirt, and it's just to pretty it up.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
So,
Right.
So
But I
is
see a lot of potential.
Not in a mobile home.
Is it, and about the egress and access, if they're divided like a plus right now, is there a back door and a front door to get out?
Yes.
yes, they all meet the fire codes.
Okay.
Everything.
And
Oh,
if they were divided, would they still meet the fire code? Would each area, like if each
Yes.
area had 4 spaces, would it still meet the fire code?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 2 doors on the rear, and then there's
Okay.
one central entrance on the front.
Okay. So that's all good. What's the heat out there?
They all have their own heat and air conditioning,
Yeah.
each
Okay.
modular.
So what's the heat source? Is it gas?
heat pump.
The
Propane?
heat pump.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. It's either propane or a heat pump, one of the two. But
I thought I saw those things outside the building.
Okay.
I thought
Would
I
it
can
be- would it
take a
be
look.
Would it be possible for me to come and take a look at them?
Oh, yeah.
sure. And if I had to guess, I would say that they are probably heat pumps because there is no propane tanks and there is no oil tanks.
There aren't.
So it has to be a heat pump.
Any,
Has to be.
any chance I could come over on Tuesday and have a look at them, or Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, the doors are actually wide open, but.
I think she wants someone here to.
No, I know. I was just trying to think, was there stairs on the front side? I had to climb in like the door, like climb.
Are you talking about the one that's not set up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
fine. I can meet you there sometime on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, or even Wednesday, Neil, are you around like early Wednesday morning at like 9-ish?
If you call that early, yeah, I'll be around.
He'll be home from work by then.
So, well, pencil me in at Wednesday at 9, and I'll come over and have a look at things. And if I remember in the agreement, we have $20,000 in furniture. Is that right, Kristen, that will come with us?
Kristen's not here.
I thought Kristen I can see Kristen.
Oh, Kristen Collins, I thought you meant Kristen Chapman.
No, we got
Kristen
20
Collins.
grand.
So you have $20,000 to work with. All right. And that won't go far. One of the things on the budget, and I would like to talk about this maybe the next time, is the software. And Neil, you and I have talked about this a little bit. I think you're going to be in for kind of a rude shock in terms of what software you have to buy. You know what RSU 10 currently runs for their business office accounting software?
I don't know the name of it off the top of my head.
We've heard it before, though.
But yeah, but I know it's going to cost a lot. But the budget that we worked on, all that software we left in the budget purposely.
Yep.
So we know that we have to calculate it in. The only difference is that a lot of this stuff we're going to have to purchase in the transition budget. But what that means is when it comes time for the new budget, we can take it back out for that year.
Right.
Right. Now the other thing too is besides the superintendent or whatever you want to call it, transition manager that we hire and the budget director, I really think unless the school board gets on board right away, if the vote passes in November, you're going to need to hire a tech manager almost right away.
Okay.
Because you're gonna need to start transitioning or at least getting things in line to what is going to be needed for software licensing, whether you're gonna do stuff online in the cloud or physical hardware on site. I do know that a couple times I have received an email on our email from a gentleman in Richmond. It looks like he is currently the tech manager for Richmond, who basically put out his feelers saying that we're going to need somebody, and he is open for a job.
Interesting.
Nice.
I don't.
We have Neil Austin.
We need an estimate. It'd be nice to get an estimate from him.
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, the job position is going to be whatever the school board is going to create. So, like Connie had mentioned, 10 hours a week. $175 an hour as a contract price.
And then we front load it because it's going to need
It's going to take a little bit on the front side.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to have in-house level 1 techs to handle all the daily activities. So basically what you're doing is you're hiring the manager to look at what software we need, what hardware we're going to need. Is the hardware we have up to date and currently licensed? It's supposed to be, but every time I go someplace, like the police departments and town municipalities, their tech guy hasn't renewed a license in 8 or 9 years, so there's no software updates, there's no nothing, and so you have to start over. So we have to, basically take inventory of what's been going on and what it is. So that has to be part of it too, because you don't want to hire anybody come May because they're just not going to have enough time to get all this stuff in order.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay, and you'll also need a student information system. So that's something you got to get on your list of things to do. Those are 2 big pieces in the technology world that have to get purchased and up and running right away.
Yeah.
What is that?
An SIS system is the student information system that, what do they use in RSU 10? Do they use like, I don't know, Power School?
Oh, okay. So not like a school is canceled notification, but like an educational.
Yeah, Power School.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Power School is a very large program. Most parents and kids only see part of it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's a very encompassing program. And I'm pretty sure that if this is voted to continue after November, that whoever the new school system hires for their tech manager, that I'm pretty sure that Brian at RSU 10 and that person is going to work together and see what's going on. I can't imagine that RSU 10 would just shut the doors and say, figure it out on your own. Because it has to be a transition.
Right.
Right.
So getting back to the software question regarding your payroll and accounting, I think it's important that it have a component for HR as well. I'm assuming that the RSU 10 accounting package has that. I don't know do they run? Neil, you probably would know. Did they run Munis? Did they run ADS? What do they run for accounting / HR package?
Top of my head, I don't remember. It was something that I've never heard of before. But I do have an email from Leah somewhere on that. I'll look for it. Pick me a minute though.
Okay. These are some of the really big pieces that the transition team needs to start thinking about. And that the new, I'll just call the person an agent, will help you get set up. I can bring for the next meeting a draft budget and activities, if that would be helpful for the committee to take a look at.
Yes.
Maybe Kristen Collins, you could tell us in your experience, have you had groups like divide into subcommittees that took this on? How has that worked with your other clients?
Yeah, it's been a while. I think it makes sense that there be some subcommittees, but I can't say that it, has always gone one way or the other.
So perhaps that's something for the group to think about for the next meeting, and it would be identifying however, whether it's one from each town or how that works, to work on the subcommittee for transition. And as I said, I can put together some draft budget information. I think the number Kristen used earlier, 160, 175 is in the ballpark. You will have, I'm guessing, some funds remaining from the allocation that was from, what did you have initially, 150,000?
Yes.
So it's probably a good idea to check and see what your balance is on that now going forward, since you've had a lot of activity in July, and whether you can use some of that, all of that. And Kristen Collins, I'm sure there's no legal prohibition on that to use for transition committees. So there's nothing, but I guess I don't know who the right person is to ask, but I think that's a number that you probably want to have at your fingertips to go forward.
So I was just looking up that software, the Power School, and on this budget, it has a $45,000 for the transition budget that I've put in AI. And it says that the vendors do the heavy lifting of extracting, cleaning, and hosting your data securely in the cloud. So when you purchase the Power School, they do the transferring of the data that you need in the setting up of that hardware, software, whatever.
Right, I mean, they're obviously gonna charge
then
you a fee for that too.
Well,
but
that's,
yeah.
I have 45,000 in there for the Power School and that thing, but it must be something that they offer. And then,
Is that something we can reach out to them and get a quote for us, I guess? Probably, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Right.
something that we can begin doing the legwork on now. There are other pieces of software. For example, what do you use in your school nutrition program for software?
We don't have any idea.
We don't have
talking
any
about the
information
Power
on that.
School.
So that's something that you will probably want to get information about. Neil, that seems like you'd be the right person to find that out. Is the name School Bucks, does that sound familiar to any of you?
Never heard of it.
No,
Okay, so nope. What about, I'm trying to think of the other school program. It'll come to me, but it's another way. Like, do your kids have a number that they put into the system when they get a lunch, or a code? I mean, to put in, like, to buy something.
I don't know.
No idea.
They used to.
they used to when it wasn't all free lunch.
It is free lunch, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Well, that's another piece that the transition team is going to need to know, because that, these are big district-wide pieces of technology. And the lunch program, and thanks to Kristen Chapman for sending me the budget for that, I'm still worried about that, because right now it's a standalone program because of the volume it generates. And I'm worried that with roughly half the number of students, or in your case, 31%, you're going to end up supporting part of the food service program. But that's a question for down the road. Mosaic is the name of the school nutrition program. And it has other names, but Mosaic is the name of the company. Any luck, Neil, in finding that?
I'm still looking.
Okay.
Because I know that the other thing too that was confusing is when I reached out to Brian on some of the software that I've never heard of before. Whenever I looked up at it, it was software that was supposed to be made to allow Windows programs to work on Apple computers, because it's all an Apple system. And he was like, no, that's the budget software. And again, it was something that was never I mean, look, could find. So I don't know if Brian was.
Does the name, does Apogee sound familiar to you, Neil?
Sounds, yeah,
Yes.
that sounds right.
So Apogee is probably what RSU 10 is running.
Okay.
But that's something that you'll need, or we will need to get a quote for. And anything that we can do now will save us time down the road and will save your agent time to do things. Kristen, while you're still on, maybe you can talk a little bit about the legal work that the transition committee usually contracts with someone like you.
Yeah. If it were my firm, for instance, it would probably be one of the business lawyers who would work with the transition team on those bills of sale, the deeds, and it's just trying to figure out what actually can be transferred or assigned and what can't, and then sort of working out with the RSU if things can't be assigned, how we're going to handle that, which would be sort of my role again if it's me. So budgeting for that, though, I find sort of difficult to predict because we don't have a good handle just yet on, the leases and all of the things that need to be titled. I think it's probably safe to budget $20,000 for that process, probably more than would be needed.
Great, thank you.
Tanya, do you know how to spell that food program?
Mosaic, MOSIAC.
I thought you said Apogee or something.
Apogee is the business and accounting program.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And then I don't know, let's see, the old ADS system is now Munis, MUNIS. That's what cities or towns often run. What do your towns use for business and accounting software?
Trio.
Yes.
Yeah, Trio is part of it, yeah.
All right. So those are some of the things. Let me stop talking for a minute and see what you have for questions. Michelle, you're remarkably quiet. I can't believe this. What, you have no questions?
No questions.
You let her down. Great.
Tell me
Come on,
about,
Michelle.
tell me about what has to be done for the deeds to the buildings. They have to sign the deeds and we have to take them to the Registry of Deeds in South Paris, right?
That's a Kristen question. That's not a Connie question.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what was the question?
To transfer the ownership of the buildings. They have to sign the deed over to us, and somebody has to take the deed to the Registry of Deeds in South Paris and pay for them to register the building.
It's all done online for the most part now. So those deeds would be exchanged. We would record those and then send the originals to the central office. And yeah, it's about $40 per deed. So not a lot of expense there. The deeds are the absolute easiest part because you just take the deed that went into the RSU, use the same description, deed it back to the new RSU. That part's easy. The bills of sale and the leases are going to be way more complicated, or voluminous, I should say.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how we can do what we can do ahead of time. If we have the paperwork created for the deeds, then that's one less thing that the, what did you call him, Connie, the manager,
Well, what did I call? I had a sort of a cutesy name. I'm trying to think. Your contract service, I don't know. You'll have to come up with a name for that particular role. It can't be superintendent, although it is often someone who is licensed as a superintendent. Your agent, that was my word.
right, thank you, agent.
Transition agent.
Transition agent, yep. And then that person does have the authority to hire and enter into agreements. Kristen will probably need some help coming up with a sample contract or duties for that person. Maybe in your other districts, if there's a model that we could look at, that would be pretty helpful. But that will get you started.
Okay.
And then there are some
We
other
have a
things.
mock from Dixfield.
Mhm.
We have their budget and we have their contract that they had their superintendent, not superintendent sign.
Right.
And then, there is the nuts and bolts of things. If it turns out that the portables are the place where you're going to be, simple things like, do they have carpeting in them? What's the flooring in there?
Tile.
Tile, okay. And
Like vinyl tile?
Probably.
Yeah, okay.
I was only there,
Okay.
10
It's
minutes.
probably VCT, vinyl composition tile. Is there a center closet for like cleaning stuff? Is there a closet at all?
I don't know.
If I remember correctly, there was a restroom on both sides. No, I definitely remember. There's at least a closet on one side and a bathroom on the other, or a closet on each side and a bathroom on one side. I'll stop by again on my way home.
I mean, the other thing too is nothing says that we can't modify the inside of these, so.
Well, right. I think we can kind of do whatever we need to in there as long as it meets code.
The other thing that you'll need to keep in mind is the storage space that these units have. A rough cut math sounds like each cubicle is roughly 400 square feet, which is adequate. That's enough. But you're going to need a place to store files, and believe it or not, superintendent files generate a lot of paper. You'll have all the personnel files coming to the new district from the old RSU. Are your student files and the old student files, where are they currently stored?
We don't know.
In the basement somewhere.
Can I ask again, how many workstations are you envisioning? Was there 4 people? I can't quite recall what we
Thought we were at 3, but I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, it's 3 or 4.
So, I mean, if it was 3 people, we either have another area for just a conference. If we made it out into 4 quadrants, you either have a space there for a conference area, or I think there's a lot of options on storage space in that school.
Mhm.
One
Okay.
of those modulars is being used as a music storage area.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and is the third one being assembled in the same area that the other 2 currently are?
Yes.
yeah, but it's a little bit off to, it's there, but it's off to the side, so it would be kind of nice to have it be the admin one, I think.
And when is that supposed to be finished?
We were just told in the fall.
Okay.
Kristen, wasn't it in the agreement in some verbiage? I mean, unless Kristen Chapman told us, I don't remember.
No. It was in the agreement that,
That we were keeping them all.
yes.
Right, but I don't know if Kristen Collins had said that they were planning on assembling it in the fall. I know it came up in this meeting, committee.
Yeah, no, that's what they told me, that the one had been unwrapped and was in the process of being assembled and was planning to be used in the fall. I don't have more details really about what they allegedly had done or are going to do between now and then.
Okay.
Okay, and none of the 3 have water to them?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, and they have individual heating units, as heating and cooling as part of that?
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you divide them up into 4 spaces, those heating and cooling units will adequately cover the building?
We'd have to double check the distribution locations, I guess, but I don't know. There's a wall right down the center, like I said, almost like a plus as it is now. So I don't know if that's just a transportation wall,
Could be.
or what. Maybe they build that so they can put the plastic on.
I have a question. Are we just chit-chatting tonight, when are we gonna figure out these numbers and get something solid on paper for this reorganization?
As far as the budget?
No, as far as the cost sharing and the
I thought that was
getting it
next
in
meeting, I thought was what we talked about.
next meeting.
That we were gonna have it all, she was gonna have a
Well, are
draft.
we working separately? Because I'd like to discuss things with everybody to, make a decision and not just do.
No, I think
it at
that's
home
what
and
next
bring it
meeting
in.
was for.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that we were gonna have a draft reorganization from Kristen Collins and that we were gonna hash out these numbers. Now, if somebody wanted to do it prior to, that would probably be helpful. As far as,
Do it prior to though.
I don't know,
well,
I
if you do 25, 75, 75, 25,
I just
50,
did it.
50.
Right.
I just did it and did the population, student population and evaluations and said, give me the fairest way, and did it the 5 different ways.
Yeah. So I thought that's what, we were gonna have that nailed down at next meeting. We were gonna do it together, but maybe I
That's-
misunderstood that.
Okay.
I mean, that could be a fair transition to the next topic on the agenda, which is about meetings in the next meeting, because the next meeting isn't even set.
Are we all going with Connie?
Well, I think this is part of
Okay.
Connie's recommendation, so I'm not trying to move on directly from her, but are we going to meet, and I guess everybody has feedback here, are we going to want to meet, didn't we have a deadline of the 31st of
Yes.
this
Yes.
month?
We got 2 weeks.
Right, so how many meetings do we think we need between now and then?
2.
2. Okay.
So basically every Thursday.
Next week and the week after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 between now and then, so do we meet this? What would Kristen Collins recommend out of the 3 Thursdays before the 31st?
I do all of them.
I do all of them with the hopes that we don't need the 30th. However,
Okay.
I have something on my calendar for next Thursday, which I'm hoping I end up not having to attend, but could make me unable to attend this meeting, which seems sort of important that I be there.
What if we move to a different day next week? Sorry.
Yeah, for
I mean, we need her for every single thing on there. I mean, is there a time where we work together without legal, or no?
Well, I feel like she's bringing the agreement
we
mostly
can get you
completed.
the agreement. And I'll tell you what, actually, a lot of what you need to talk about at the next meeting has nothing to do with me, really. It's running those numbers, looking at them, and talking about what's fair. So I'll give you the shell of the agreement, and all we're trying to do is plug in the apportionment of finances. So I think that doesn't actually need me. I will do my best for a lot of reasons to get out of my other meeting. And if I can be there, great. If I can't, I'll just do what I did the last time and give you a template of what you need to decide and, all the rest of the language so you can go over that agreement and let me know if you have any questions. And then we would address those the following Thursday.
Okay, so
The goal on the 23rd would be to finalize and vote on the reorganization plan. But if for some reason there's a loose end, worst case, we'd have the 30th.
okay, Connie, did you have anything to add?
It doesn't sound like you need me on this. This is the 16th, right? Is
Yes.
that right? So do you need me? Because I don't really have a big part with that agreement and apportionment.
Okay. When is the transition budget part of it due? I'm sure you said it. I just,
The transition budget, I mean, the real end date, that's not a statutory thing per se. I mean, the end date is going to be the deadline for the individual towns to call the ballot. So that would be 60 days prior to the November 3rd election. And I think just practically speaking, trying to get the transition budget relatively dialed in by mid-August so that we can talk about that at the 18th is our kind of soft deadline.
Okay.
I mean, I will go through the software numbers that is in the new budget for RSU 10 and add all that up so you'll have a software, because basically we have to buy it all.
Right.
Everything. all the
Right.
licensing and everything.
Yeah.
And I'll start reaching out to some of these companies and getting some quotes. But the Apogee budget software starts at $12.5 per user. If we only have one budget person, that's only one license. And of course, it can get bigger based upon how many add-on pieces you need to add. Like that price could just be the budget software only. So if you add payroll, that might be another $5,000 or whatever it may be. And then each time you file for each employee for their taxes and all the other stuff, there might be a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it is, fee for when you send that stuff in. So,
Okay.
but we can just start working on it anyway.
All right, so Connie, do you have anything else to add for tonight's meeting?
I don't. Adios. Gotta go.
Thank you, Connie.
Bye-bye.
Kristen, do you have anything else you'd like to add to tonight's meeting?
I'm all set. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So just to reiterate our schedule, it's going to be July 16th, July 23rd, and July 30th, everyone. Thank you, Kristen. Have a great night.
Judy. Judy.
We're going to move on to public comments. Judy, do you have anything you'd like to add? No, I don't know.
Can't hear you, Judy.
You're muted.
Sorry, I was unmuted. 3 quick comments. On school population, I believe we're now down in the 480s. That was in the budget newsletter that came out in May. Another thing that concerns me is we are getting absolutely no coverage of this committee. I spoke to several members in the community in the last week. They had no idea that we had a draft agreement with RSU 10 and that the state had accepted the information you sent in. We are not doing a good job of getting it out to the public. I hope we can do.
Do you have any suggestions above and beyond what we're already doing? Because, I mean, we're doing a lot.
You're doing a fabulous job. You guys are doing a great job. It's not getting out to the community, though. That's what concerns me.
I will just remind that we really just crossed the first major hurdle, so this is really the first time we actually have something to talk about or celebrate. So she's not wrong. I think let's add that to the agenda next week for how we.
But we. Okay, I just want to tell you that a lot of people don't know, and they should. You're doing a really good job. You worked very hard. I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, and I had a third comment, which I've now forgotten. Well, that's okay. I guess it will come to me next week.
All right.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you for being here, Judy. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, Judy.
Welcome. You're welcome.
Any last minute comments?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't know. I know we need legal and educational consultant, but I also think that at some point we need to have conversations without them.
That's
Right.
fine. I think that is.
So hopefully
like
next
next
week,
meeting's the one.
yeah, next
Right.
meeting's the one.
And I'm open to having other meetings too, other nights, and if we need to get together and
Right.
hash things out, I mean, that's fine.
May I make another comment?
Yep.
I'm sorry. I did tell this to Aaron and to Michelle. Our 6th grade is being moved over to the Buckfield Junior Senior High School, and there's supposed to be a pre-K coming in. Is the pre-K coming in?
What are the numbers? You know.
We don't know the numbers yet,
They
but
didn't
yes,
even know
they
that.
are.
Yeah.
They are. Okay. I know some people are not happy about the 6th grade being moved. That's all. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those brochures you made, do you have any of those? I haven't seen any.
Right.
I can print out more.
All right.
Well,
Right.
we
I
have
think. I mean, if
more
we.
tangible,
we're gonna take-
information too now, or different information
I
because
think we
we.
should wait, yeah. And,
Right. I
So
think
upgrade them.
at this point we probably revisit the idea of a mailer.
Right.
Just to let people know of the accomplishments we've made
Yes.
and the date of August 18th.
Yeah.
Date, time,
Yeah, that's a good idea
location.
because that's coming up quick.
Right.
Okay, so August 18th was the required one?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So that would be a good opportunity to really get the word out.
So does someone want to work on between now and next meeting a draft of something that can be mailed out so we can look at it and discuss it?
Yeah,
Sure,
absolutely.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Deb.
you're welcome.
Well, I made the motion that we adjourn.
Should we, sorry, 1 second. Should we get pricing from somebody? Did somebody was throwing around numbers at one point.
I think Cameron was,
Cameron
had
figured it
numbers
out.
for that.
It was gonna be
Okay.
like
Yeah.
$600 to hit all
Which
residents
I think was the cheapest that we
by
found.
a long
Right, I
So
think
shot.
I
so
wonder
too.
what the size of those is, because whatever,
Postcard.
what's that? I don't know what that is.
3 by 5.
3 by
Or
3
maybe
by
I think
5.
it's 3 by 5.
Okay.
4 by 6.
Something like
See what
that.
I mean?
Yeah.
Not
Right.
an index card, they're a little bigger.
Yeah, that's
4 by
right.
6.
Yeah. So it's
Maybe
not
the actual
close.
postcard could put the date of the meet-ins
Yes.
that we're going to do for public to bring people in.
Right,
Right.
so next week we should probably discuss what the other meeting dates will be. So, okay, we got an agenda list for sure. What were you gonna say, Aaron?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Good night again, Judy.
Thank you.
Thank you.